Hello, guys. Good evening. So sorry, I had a little bit of an issue with my network provider. I don't know, they've been really stressing me of late, but I think I've put a lid on it. Guys, you okay? So I'm really trying to manage the network. I've been oscillating between two of my lines, and it's really not working out. I'm so sorry, guys, for all the inconvenience. Just maybe in a minute or two we'll start. Let me inform everybody on the group that I'm live now, so that okay. So, how was everybody's week? I hope you all had really nice weeks. Um, the rain has been falling almost every day here, so that has been somewhat nice and somewhat inconvenient. It's inconvenient when you're going out, but we'll survive. So you guys just say hello, 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 hello. I'm just going to do this for like the next 1 minute, then we can start the class. So today's class is going to be very brief, so don't worry that the class started late. It's not going to eat into your time for whatever else you may have had planned. It's a simple topic. It's a simple topic we're talking about today. Simple, straightforward topic, but for some weird reason, a lot of people still fumble on it, and they struggle with it, and because of that, they don't really see a lot of results. So, if this is your first time joining the class, hi, welcome. My name is Izegwe, but you can call me Easy because I'm here to make your hair growth journey easy. So much so, I'm doing a hair growth 101 series. And through this series, we're going to be talking about, or we have been talking about, everything foundational that you need to grow your hair, your afro-textured hair, long and healthy. So, in my years of experience, relating with a lot of customers and trying to grow my own hair, I found that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know what things that they're supposed to know. There are a lot of trends. There's a lot of noise on the internet, and it can get very very confusing. Like the bare minimum basics, break everything down so that nobody would dribble you, one, and also so that you can really understand your hair. Because one thing I have come to understand when it comes to natural hair is that there is not a one size fits all. And because there is not a one size fits all, knowing the foundation, knowing the basics of things kind of helps you to know where you fall and helps you to adjust your hair routine and all the things you're doing for your hair for you to actually really see progress. So I'm here to demystify things. I'm here to break things down, simplify them, and make them as easy as possible. So that's what this series is about. And today we're going to be talking about moisturizing. So in the last class, we talked about cleansing, and while people don't really emphasize the importance of cleansing as much as they emphasize the importance of moisturizing, last class actually really hammered in on why cleansing is important and why it's a very important factor for hair growth. So, this class, we're going to be talking about moisturizing. And now, compared to every other thing that people tell you is important for your hair, moisturizing is one of those things that is really important. And the reason why it's important is because it's one of the major factors, major defining factors in whether you are retaining length or not. So I think in our very first class we talked about natural hair. In the other class we talked about hair growth, and then we talked about hair routine, and then we talked about cleansing, right? And if you watch the hair routine video, we dabbled a little bit dabbled a little bit into hair typing, right? And understanding that everybody's hair type is different, the proper way of identifying your hair type, not the popularized way that really doesn't do anything for you, the proper way of understanding your hair type, grouping your hair type, and then creating a routine for it. And one of the assignments I gave in that class was for us to, you know, with the explanation and with the videos and everything that I had talked about, kind of ask ourselves, where do I fall in? What's my hair porosity? What's my hair thickness? What is my sorry, excuse me, what's my hair thickness? What is my you know, shrinkage rate and things like that. So if you want to catch up on that, you can go and watch the previous video so that um, what we're doing in this class today is going to make sense. Because, like I said, I am doing the foundational things, so everything matters, every class matters. So it's like brick by brick, you build take care of your hair. So now you must have heard it so many times from so many people. They say stuff like, oh, your your hair is always growing, but you're not just retaining length. And then they talk about one of the ways to retain length is making sure that you moisturize. Hello, essay. So it's very popular, right? Very, very popular in natural hair community. People talk about moisturizing, 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 moisturizing. So today we're going to be talking about moisturizing. We're going to be talking about the methods of moisturizing and how you should be moisturizing for your hair type. So you see why that ties into the previous class that we had. And it's like, everything matters, right? So if you follow the class and if you do the assignment, it helps you to be better or understand better what is going on in today's class. So outside of the teaching, I'm also going to give like a little assignment for you guys to do that I feel is going to really help you guys with understanding your hair better and actually seeing progress. So without further ado, I've done enough introductions. Let's go into today's class. So here we are. Okay, so like I always start each class with defining what the topic that we're talking about is. So that's what this is today, and we're just going to. It's a very simple. So hair moisturizing is a process of retaining water and hydration within the hair shaft to prevent dryness. So dryness is think about dryness as the enemy. In truth, right? If you remember what we talked about in hair growth, and all the other previous classes, right? And how I explained hair growth and talked about the factors that affect hair growth and improve hair growth and all that, right? Always growing. Your hair is truly always growing. If you don't have an under issue, your hair is always growing, right? It's so for some people it might grow faster than others, but it is always growing. So moisture is important, or why we need to avoid dryness, because if your hair is always growing, why is it not down to your butt? Why is it not down to your back? Because as your hair is growing, it's breaking. And I'm sure you've heard this a couple of times, or if you've not heard it before, if your hair is growing, why is it not down to your back? It's because as it's growing, it's breaking. And one of the major causes of breakage is dryness. It's not the only cause, but it is one of the major causes of breakage, right? So, um, moisture or moisturizing, right, is the answer to dryness, breakage, one of the major things that impedes people from retaining length. right? So, how do we achieve this moisture? First things first, okay, we've already defined moisture as hydration and, retaining water, right? But is water enough? Is water, like just putting water on our hair, is it enough? So if any of us has any experience, which I'm pretty sure we do, if you just apply water to your hair and you do nothing else to it apart from applying water, over time that water is going to evaporate, it's going to dry. And when your hair was wet, it was soft, it was easier to ply through. If you were combing your hair when it was wet, it was softer. But as soon as it gets dry, right, it's more difficult to ply through. It's breaking, it's hard, it's causing you pain and things like that. So if you really think about it, right, even though hydration equals water, right? If you're breaking hydration down, it equals water. Why is it not enough to actually keep our hair soft for an extended period of time? And what do we actually need to keep our hair soft for an extended period of time? Another thing I'm going to talk about is moisture is not oil, moisture is not butter. Because a lot of people have that misunderstanding that, okay, um people are always saying moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. I have applied oils, I have applied butters to my hair is still breaking. What is going on? Moisture is more of a combination. It's like it's an amalgamation of. I hope I'm not using big, annoyingly big words. Sorry, don't mind me. So it's basically just a combination of actual oil and water, right? And when we go to the next slide, you see like even the process, right, for moisturizing our hair just literally involves one way or the other combining oil and water, right? So what happens is dehydration, right, it helps to keep your hair soft. It helps to keep your hair moisturized. The structure of your hair contains a little bit of water. It also contains oils, and you kind of need a right balance. So you need that moisture in your hair that helps to keep it soft, right? But what is going to help to hold that moisture in your hair to keep like an equilibrium, a balance between your hair and the environment? It is the oils and the butters, right? So let's move on to the next slide, which is methods for moisturizing your hair, which is the LCO, LOC, LO, right? So L stands for liquid, O stands for oil, and C stands for cream, right? So before I break down just each of the different methods, let me briefly explain what liquid is. So liquid is anything that is water based. So liquid can be pure water. It can also be like a herbal tea where almost 90% of what is contained inside is actually water, right? So water is a very if you break it down to the minutest point, right? Water is a very simple molecule. It is made up of two oxygen atoms, sorry, two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom, right? H2O. So now water is really small, and because of its molecular size, it can easily penetrate into our hair, right? As opposed to oils. Oils are, much bigger, right? And even though some oils are better at penetrating into our hair strands than others, oils tend to have this ability to, while they soften the hair, but they help to hold in the moisture in the hair, which is the water or the liquid. They tend to hold it in and then, help to keep the hair softer for longer, right? So because oils, and everybody knows that oils and butters don't mix, right? And they kind of repel each other. So the same thing happens when there is a balance of oils and waters in your hair. It repels your hair from absorbing too much water, right? So it helps to keep this between your hair and the environment. So now if we've talked about what a liquid is, and we've talked about sorry, yes, we've talked about what a liquid is, and we talked about what an oil is. What is a cream? A cream is basically the combination of oil molecules and water molecules in one homogeneous solution. So now, if I have a bottle of water here, right? So if I have this bottle of water and I put in oil, we all know that oil will just sit at the top while water is at the bottom, right? But with creams, right, due to something called an emulsifier, it helps to combine oil molecules and water molecules together and create one, you know, cream or one solution, right? And it looks white. It looks let me give an example. So it basically looks like this, right? That's a cream. It's a combination of oils, and it's a combination of butters or water and so on and so forth, right? So that's essentially what a cream is. So um for the LOC method, right? The LOC method, is basically just it's you layering your liquid, your oil, and your cream in that order, right? And it helps you to sorry, excuse me, and it helps you to retain moisture better. So it's you starting with your liquid, which will be water or your herbal tea, and then following it up with your oils, and afterwards following it up with a cream, right? And then LCO method is just literally rearranged, but it's basically the same thing. Some people prefer LOC while some people prefer LCO, right? And LO is stands for liquid, and then the O stands for oil, right? It's still another layering method, and people with lower porosity hair tend to prefer this method because it's not as heavy, and because low porosity hair has like really close cuticles, to avoid product buildup, they tend to like to use this combination. There's also LC. Sorry, excuse me. There's also LC, right, which stands for liquid and cream, right? But this is just like a holistic picture of this method of moisturizing, right? It's basically just a layering technique. So whichever letter comes first is what you're doing first, right? A lot of times you have to understand your hair and know what your hair prefers before you can you know say, "Oh, okay, this works for me," or "this doesn't work for me." So for me personally, I always like to start with liquid, but every other thing is interchangeable, and I wouldn't particularly say that how I layer my product affects my hair's moisture. Actually, there's some other factors that I have found affects my hair moisture or helps my hair to retain moisture for longer. So I have low porosity hair, and because I have low porosity hair, it's difficult for it to absorb um oils and waters and everything because of how it's structured. And then when it finally absorbs those things, it also holds it in for a long time. So typically, if I am to moisturize my hair, I can actually keep that moisture for anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Okay. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's all about trying, because you may not really know. You may not really know just like works best for you. Now, for me, sometimes, right, if I'm trying to stretch my moisturizing, because I have like a whole proper routine. It takes me about 30 minutes. And I like it because when I do that process, right, I know that I'm not going to touch my hair. If it's for me to style, okay. If it's for me to do my edges, okay. But I'm not going to touch my hair to moisturize it again for the next 7 to 10 days, right? And then sometimes, even if I want to stretch that moisture, I can just go in with like my liquid and my conditioner, my liquid and my cream, right? In this instance, and it helps to give me moisture, sorry, excuse me, for, a little bit of a longer time, right? So now let's go to the next point of this class. Like I said, today's class is going to be very short, very simple, very straightforward, right? Now, I personally believe that moisturizing for your hair type is more important than whichever um, moisturizing method you're using, whether it's the LCO, LOC, LO, whatever method you're using. Understanding the very nature of your hair type is more important than that. And I would explain, right? So when I'm talking about low porosity hair, right, I am talking from experience, right? And one thing I have come to realize is that if your hair is not damaged, if you don't have color treatment, if you don't have color treatment, if you don't have relaxed hair, right? Because the porosity scale is more of a spectrum, your hair tends to be medium to low, right? You rarely have full on high porosity hair, right? And if you are experiencing high porosity hair, it is most likely because you're doing things to your hair that is still damaging your hair, even though it's natural, and you still not just understood how to hold in moisture for your hair, right? So yes, there are people that do have high porosity. I don't want to, send like a wrong message. People do have high porosity hair, right? Some people's hair absorbs water really quickly and then lets the water out just as quickly. It doesn't mean that their hair is damaged. Not all high porosity hair is damaged, right? But just understanding the basis of moisturizing for your hair type would really help go a long way in you just really enjoying your day-to-day natural hair activities. I personally, just like Essie said, I personally, when my hair is moisturized, oof, my hair is happy. My hair is happy, and I can tell. I'm not really fighting with. Okay, we're back live. I'm not really fighting with knots. I'm not, but sorry, guys. I'm having a little bit of network issues. So yes, as I was saying, lower in porosity. Yeah. Um, just watch and observe how your hair responds to water, right? How quickly on wash days, how quickly it holds on to water. After you wash your hair, how quickly it dries. So one of the key things I knew that helped me know when I started my natural hair journey, that helped me know that my hair was low porosity, was the fact that if I washed my hair and I left it, even if I did not apply any oils or butters, right, and I probably left it in a puff, 3 days later, I could put my hand into my hair and still find it wet, right? So it was an indication of how much water my hair was holding on to. So you can refer to the previous classes to be able to understand porosity better. But I hope I've answered your question. So now moving on, right? Moisturizing for your hair type. Like I said, I feel this is more important than the methods, right? Because like I said, our hair is not a one size fits all. So just generally understanding some of these things helps you to intuitively know what to do for your hair at different times. So now the holy grail. Oh my goodness. When it comes to low porosity hair, I have low porosity hair, so I'm talking from experience, but the holy grail when it comes to low porosity hair and achieving amazing moisture is using heat. Now you can use heat in Three ways. Three or two ways. Okay. Two ways. When they hear heat, right? They would think it's just hair steaming or putting on a steam cap, or just putting on a shower cap. In my opinion, if you have low porosity hair, it is non-negotiable. You should have a steam cap. You should have a steam cap, right? It's so important if you have low porosity hair. So now people make the assumption that, oh, steam cap is enough. Not necessarily, and I will explain why. Now, because of how the structure of your hair is as low porosity, your cuticles are closed, right? If you are applying products to a closed cuticle, what would happen is it's common sense. It's going to take a whole lot more time for that product to absorb in, right? Now, if you apply that product on your hair strands and then you now put in a steam cap, because of the heat is going to sort of like increase or hasten that process. But it can take it from a level 1 to a level 3, but let me tell you what can take it from a level 1 to a level 5 out of 5, right? Now, if you're using warmed up products, right? As soon as the product is touching your hair strand, it is opening your hair strand by virtue of the temperature. So it is penetrating into your hair strand faster, right? Now, when you finish that, you now put on a steam cap. You have more product absorption. So you have more product in your hair strands. It stays in your hair strands for longer and keeps your hair softer for longer, right? So starts with heat if you have low porosity hair. It's a game changer. Like I said, it's not negotiable. You need a heat cap if you have low porosity hair. Now, sorry. Um, Another thing that I don't see a lot of people talk about, and it's so important, is to massage your products in. So, because of how our hair is structured, right? A lot of times it's so easy to miss it's so easy to miss some strands. It's so easy for moisture not to get into some strands. I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you moisturized your hair, but you didn't really moisturize your roots. So what happens is when you're trying to style, when you put a comb into your hair, right? And you're trying to, make a part, you find that the roots of your hair feel really dry. It feels hard to move around. But the tip of your hair is, so much more easier to slide through. You understand? So um that happens because you didn't get all the areas of your hair. You need to be able to get all the areas of your hair. And that happens when you massage the products in, right? So I'm going to give like a very simple, practical example so that you guys can see what I am talking about. So now, typically, right, people just, when they want to moisturize their hair, they tend to just leave their hair out like that and just put on a lot of product and just apply, 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 apply. That really doesn't cut it with natural hair. First things first, your hair needs to be in sections, right? So if your hair is shorter, I would say anywhere from 8 to 10 sections, or 12 sections. If your hair is a bit longer, anywhere from 6 to 8 sections, just depending. But you really need to make sure that this product is getting into every part of your hair. And how can you do that, right? Like I said, make sure your product is warmed up. Now you're applying this product, you massage it into your hands, right? And then you make sure that, so I'm really ruining my style right now, but okay, no, 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 Lily. I'll just open it up completely so that you guys can see. So you make sure that, so My hair is moisturized, by the ways. I'm just using this as an example, but you can see how it's so easy. Like my hair just slides open, no stress whatsoever, because my hair is moisturized. Do you know when I moisturize this hair? I moisturize this hair on Monday, and today is Saturday, and my hair is giving me joy. Look at that. Look at that. It just glides through. It's soft, it feels nice to the touch. I know my hair is moisturized when I have this, when it acts like this. So for now, some people, right, because compared to when their hair is dry, when they put in some products, they feel like their hair is moisturized. But trust me, there are levels to this, and when you start applying these things, you see the difference in how your hair feels, and then you can kind of know that, oh, this thing is really working for me, this thing isn't working for me, and stuff like that. Okay, so as I was saying, so you make sure that you are, you know, you make sure that that's the cream, right? But typically you would start with water, or like I said, herbal tea. But like I said, my hair is already moisturized, so I don't want to do too much. I just want to show you guys the massaging process. And then you make sure you get the whole length of your hair, right? You make sure you get the whole length of your hair. And then once you've gotten the whole length of your hair, it's not, oh, we're good and done. You have to massage it in, literally. You have to massage it in. You have to do like a praying hands motion, right? And then just do that. So that manually, right, helps to open up your cuticles to push the product in. So important. So important. And like I was saying earlier, you need to make sure that you're getting every every single corner of your hair. You need to make sure that you're getting it. It's so important, right? And then because lower porosity hair, because lower porosity hair is um because of its nature, it doesn't need too much, right? It doesn't need too heavy stuff, because once it absorbs what it needs, everything stays on top, right? So you don't want your hair to dry out. So it is advisable to seal in the moisture with lighter oils, right? It's advisable to seal in the moisture with lighter oils. So you can start with my network again. So you can start with almond oil, avocado oil, sunflower oil. Just try different oils. See which one, resonates with you better, right? And then stick with it. And then another thing is, no matter how low your hair's porosity is, the older it gets, it starts getting higher in porosity, just because of normal wear and tear that happens as a result of age. So what you need, right, is to focus your ends. And if you're going to use like a thicker product, you should be using it on your ends, right? Because now your ends are slightly higher in porosity. So when using products for low porosity hair, you should be careful not to use too much, right? Because like I said, it's low porosity. You use too much, you can have products build up. So you should be careful not to use too much. But like I said, personally, right? When what I have found works for my hair is after wash day, when I'm heating up the product, I'm doing my plenty serene after wash day, or after those 7 to 10 days when I'm remoisturizing. I tend to be a little bit heavy handed. But what happens is, wash day, I use the most products. After wash day, the quantity of products I use reduces. But like I said, this is very customized. This is very personal to me and how I um moisturize my hair. You can start out with these tips and then start to tweak it to see